Welcome to UDK Resurrection. I am Oninocho, and I will be your narrator for this video. Today, we'll cover user interface. I will show you the basics of UI and how to build a main menu widget. UI, or user interface, is the arrangement of overlaid widgets, which contains images, buttons, and/or text to communicate to the player, guiding them on what they can do with the game. This could be in the form of main menus, heads-up displays, or even 3D widgets such as targeting stats or button prompts. To achieve this in the Unreal Development Kit, we must use Scaleform GFX, a special UI middleware solution by Autodesk. Scaleform GFX was incorporated into UDK in April 15, 2010, and has been used in many more engines and games until it shut down in July 12, 2018. Combined with Adobe Flash CS6 and Unreal Engine 3's discontinued support, designing UI in UDK has become much more difficult than ever. Thanks to archive sites like the Internet Archive, this setback has finally been mitigated. You can visit the UDK Veterans Discord to gain the required and since abandoned tools for UI creation for UDK projects. Although, there are two alternatives to UI design for this engine. The first is the UI Scene, the old UI system for Unreal Engine 3 since its inception and has been used in many UE3 games in the late 2000s, notably Gears of War and Unreal Tournament 3. Since April 2010, this was replaced with Scaleform GFX and was consequently scrapped. The second is Canvas, the standard native UI mainframe controlled exclusively through Unreal Script. There was barely any way you could use it beyond UScript, besides limited use through Kismet, which meant only scripters can truly use it. Fortunately, we now have a better option, KaiScan, a third-party UI template created by Andrzej Husowski in March 2014. With KaiScan, you can create menus and HUDs more easily, with the caveat that you must have at least some limited knowledge of Canvas, particularly coordinates and creating widget palette images, similar to how UI works in older engines like the eText. I wanted this tutorial to be a two-parter, one teaching Scaleform, and the other teaching KaiScan, but after some trial and error, I realized trying to do both may blow the tutorial video and create more confusion than is necessary, so I have decided to make the latter its own future video outside of the UE3 Fundamentals series, yet within the UDK Resurrection project. Of course, you can still download KaiScan in our Discord server if you want to use it for your own UDK or UE3 licensee projects. Anyways, let us begin. Since I will be teaching through the Scaleform part, you will need to download Adobe Flash Professional CS6 if you are using the latest UDK builds. Some older builds require CS5 instead, but some of this tutorial should still be translatable to that version. Besides that, you will be on your own. Both products, along with the rest of the entire Creative Suite catalog, are abandonware now, whether evil Adobe wants to accept that or not, so you can find them on archive sites such as the Internet Archive. Assuming you have downloaded and installed Flash Pro CS6, launch it. One important note, when programming Scaleform GFX UI, you will need sufficient knowledge of Flash's own scripting language, ActionScript, to control some essential features with Scaleform. Depending on your UI and the S language, you can communicate between ActionScript and Unreal Script through invoke functions. Invocation works two-way between the respective languages, but it can be tricky. There are two versions of ActionScript you can use for your GFX UI: ActionScript 2 and ActionScript 3. AS2 is inferior but at the time was more recognizable and most games and products still relied on it. All of the Scaleform GFX samples for UDK also rely on AS2. AS3, however, is the superior and more modern and reliable version. However, it is also more difficult to master and may require you create components just to make the best out of it. It is trickier to use and sadly, I lack the sufficient knowledge to teach AS3. Since there are no samples I know of to guide you with AS3, you will be on your own should you wish to use it. Create a new project. I will be using ActionScript 2. Set the resolution of your UI as you see fit, then begin designing your menu. Save your Flash profile into a new folder for your Flash data in the Flash folder of your UDK Builds game directory. For my case, UDK Game, then Flash, then Tutorial menu. For input-reliant elements such as buttons, you will need to use click widget from Scaleform, as UDK will not recognize anything else when it comes to input. Believe me, I have tried. If you know of an alternative workaround, let me know in the comments. You can refer or download the Scaleform GFX sample files from the UE3 UDN documentation website, assuming the URL still work. Once your menu is complete, there are still a few things you need to do before you can compile your Flash widget. First, install the Scaleform extension. Doing so will require you restart Flash Professional. Second, enable the Scaleform launcher window. Lastly, you might want to add code to a layer that handles your ActionScript code. This is only necessary if you have multiple frames for menus, typically the first being your main menu or start screen, and others for your other menus, like options. Create your GFX profile, linking to the Scaleform render executable. Again, see the UDK documentation for more info on that. Compile your GFX movie file by clicking on the Test With button. Ensure your UI is loading and functioning decently. Some features will not function as planned here, since their functionality will be covered in Unreal Script instead, as is entirely the case for my own test UI. Check your Flash folder in case the SWF compiled correctly, then take note of it for the next step of this video. Launch Unreal Ed and navigate to your content browser. Click the Import button and navigate to your SWF movie file in your folder you created earlier. Once your movie is loaded, you can choose to rename your package and rearrange your group if you are not happy with the preset package setup that was forced upon you. I did not like it myself, so I changed it to suit my needs. Finally, save your new package into your project folder in the content folder of the UDK build directory. Close Unreal Ed. Ignore saving the old pre-made package if you do not want to use it. Next, you need to create a script for your UI. Launch your script/code editor and create a new Unreal script file, your class extending from GFX Movie Player. Write down what you see on this screen. To explain, you will need variables for your click widgets. You will then need to initialize your widgets, adding event listeners for your click widgets. Create your invoke functions, the S2US communication method. For my case, the first function will open the game level of my choice when pressing my Start button in my menu UI. The second function will exit the game when pressing my Exit button in my menu UI. Finally, define your default properties. Add a reference link to your movie info. Add widget bindings for all of the buttons in your SWF movie file. This is necessary for input recognition and navigation. Compile your scripts and launch the Unreal editor again. Create a new level. This will serve as your front-end level, using your main menu UI widget. There are two ways to set up your camera view for the menu. You can use the player start and adjust it somewhere you see fit, or you can create a camera actor using Unreal Matinee. I went for the latter. Assuming the latter, just create a new Matinee node in Unreal Kismet and connect it to the level loaded events node. You will want to use sequences to organize your visually scripted nodes. Do similar with your GFX movie. Just search for the Open GFX Movie Action node. Assign your SWF movie in the Open GFX Movie Action node, the movie player class, to your menu script, and adjust the two other settings on this screen for good measure. Don't forget to add a toggle mouse cursor action node as well. You will need it to show your operating system's cursor. Final step, set your default game type to one that extends framework game but also supports the toggle mouse cursor sequence action. You can check your scripts in your development folder of your build directory or your script/code editor to find which game info uses a player controller class that extends from game player controller. The best class eligible for this is mobile menu game. The others are simple game and UDK game, but both of them have interactable pawns with working physics, so that may cause unwanted problems when loading the level if they fall into the kill zone. Best to use a game info that uses a flying pawn, or create your own front-end game info class and set up these requisites yourself. Test your level through the standalone method instead of Py to properly test your menu and its functionality. Congratulations! You have successfully created a user interface widget. Well, that settles that. This was medium. Not too easy, not too hard to pull off this Nigerian impression. I am from the native land Nigeria, but I wasn't raised there long enough to fully form the accent. So instead I wound up with this weird European African accent. But anyways, this concludes this tutorial video. If you like what we do, click the like and subscribe buttons. Establish, explore, expand.